Today, I want to talk about the movie I, Tonya, a truly excellent film about the rise and fall of former figure skating star Tonya Harding. It's a movie which I thoroughly enjoyed. It's well acted and directed and had some really great editing, and it told a character-based story which was interesting and engaging. But I'm not here to do a review for I, Tonya. Actually, I just want to focus on one aspect. One thing which I, Tonya does better and more accurately than any other movie, and that's its depiction of abusive relationships. Plenty of movies and TV shows have featured domestic violence, and they mostly get the primary effects of domestic violence right, but they also mostly give us one-dimensional portrayals. The abuser is often shown as a sadistic bully who revels in being an awful person and gets off on their treatment of the victim. And the victim is often shown as a weak and fearful person who knows that they're in an abusive relationship and that they should probably leave, but they can't because they're too afraid. But I don't believe that that's a wholly accurate depiction of those kinds of dynamics. The real dynamic of abusive relationships is far more complex and confusing, and this is where I, Tonya excels, where so many fall short. I think an interesting aspect of this horrible moment that Nancy Kerrigan has her kneecap broken is that it can be traced all the way back to events when Tonya was just a young girl. So this guy breaks Nancy Kerrigan's knee because he was paid by this guy who believes that he's doing something nice and thoughtful for Tonya, who was only with him because of this lady, her mother. One thing that other movies featuring domestic abuse pretty much never discuss or examine is the long-term effects of that abuse. The very first abusive relationship in I, Tonya is the one between Tonya and her mother. Her mother is physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive throughout her entire upbringing. Her father seemed to be a good stabilizing effect, but he left her at a very young age, leaving her only role model and source of support to be her mother. And this led to a belief that this kind of relationship was not just normal, but expected for girls like Tonya. But exactly how does that happen? Why would a child hold up such an abusive woman as a role model when she's so horrible? This is where the exploration of abusive psychology in I, Tonya begins to explain things. Tonya's mother, like many abusers, doesn't believe herself to be a villain or a bad person or an abuser. She genuinely sees herself as a positive influence on her daughter who pushes her towards greatness, and the instances of abuse are simply tools for positive change from her perspective.
Poor fucking you. I didn't stay home making apple brown Bettys. No, I made you a champion.
The reason she's able to do this is because she is also the primary source of encouragement for Tonya when on the ice. This means that as a small child, Tonya saw her mother as both a supporter and an abuser, all mixed into one person. Meaning, when her mother told her that the abuse was for her own good or that she deserved it, Tonya believed it. This is something which abusive people are able to do very well. They mix in examples of positive behavior with their abuse, which makes it harder to see the person as an aggressor or abuser.
Maybe he should hit you. Yeah, maybe learn to keep your big mouth shut. Sure helps me out.
We always like to believe the best in people that are close to us, and that's what we do. We ignore the abuse and pay attention to the positives. This is repeated later when her husband Jeff, who also physically abuses her, sees himself as a very nice guy and incorrectly rationalizes his abuse in the context of both passion and support for Tonya. And when combined with the upbringing that her mother gave her, this means that Jeff is able to occupy the same space and function in Tonya's life as her mother. Jeff genuinely sees himself as a person who cares for Tonya, even years later.
I admit it. A part of me still thought that the sun rose and set with her.
These aren't characters which abuse Tonya because they're evil, sadistic bullies. They don't even believe that they're abusing her. these are characters who consider themselves as helpful, loyal supporters. It's no wonder that she wandered from one abusive situation to another. It's very hard for her to even see what abuse is. Which is another thing that this movie gets right. Abused people are often completely unaware that they're being abused and accept the excuses and rationalizations given to them by their abusers, only really seeing the truth when they finally break free. Other movies paint victims as people who want to break free but are too scared to, when in reality,
I don't think I can make it to the Olympics without you.
They often don't want to break free because they don't see the relationship as abusive at all. Abusers are also very good at painting themselves as the victim and believing it. Her mother believes that she's a victim because of the time and money invested in Tonya's skating to push her to become a great skater, which she feels that Tonya never repaid or appreciated in any way.
You're a taker. Every cent I made went to your skating and you took it. What do you want?
Jeff actually convinces himself that all of his actions are a result of Tonya being aggressive and bullying towards him.
I never hit her. That's not me. I'm actually a pretty meek guy. She hit me, though. Cracked the wallet. Fired a gun at me, too.
This is bullshit. I never did this.
And assumes the role of victim, preventing Tonya from doing so, and subconsciously encourages her to assume the role of perpetrator, which helps to explain her conflicted feelings towards these people. And this brings me to Tonya herself. After the disappearance of her father, she then had no positive role models, nobody to protect her, and no form of escape apart from the ice. This one aspect of her life became the single most important aspect, as it was the one thing that she could enjoy with impunity. Even though her mother would abuse Tonya, she was also the source of skating, and this reinforced the idea in Tonya's mind that her mother was trying to help even when she was hurting her. Because how could someone who truly didn't care put so much effort into giving her the one thing that she wanted the most? Imagine being a child and not being able to distinguish whether your parent is abusive or not, because they're also the source of the things that make you happy. In reality, of course, this simply became another tool to control and abuse Tonya.
Where do you think you're going?
I have to go to the bathroom.
Don't tell me what you have to do. I paid for you to skate. You're going to stay on the ice and skate.
Making her choose between skating and the bathroom reinforces both characters' psychology. Her mother rationalizes this cruel behavior by saying that she was simply pushing her to spend more time on the ice and become a champion. A rationalization which a young and impressionable Tonya, with no one else to turn to for support, accepts. This consistent treatment of Tonya had the effect of lowering her self-esteem, and this lower self-esteem would eventually be what leads her into a relationship with Jeff, the second abusive relationship in her life. The treatment from her mother actually made the abuse from Jeff possible. And what compounds the problem is that when Tonya finally decides to break free of Jeff and do something about it, her mother's response is,
I'm supportive of this relationship, you hear me?
even though she knows that he beats her daughter, further cementing the idea for Tonya that she is the one with the problem. This is even extended to figures of authority too later in the movie. Jeff, for lack of a more accurate term, kidnaps Tonya after assaulting her, and when stopped by the police in their car, the officer sees Tonya with a bleeding face and does nothing. Every single time Tonya makes an attempt to break free of him and questions whether she deserves better, all figures of authority and trust reinforce the idea that she's supposed to receive this kind of treatment.
Then he would say it would never happen again, but I figured, but my mom gets me. She loves me.
So you see, if it wasn't for her mother confusing her as a child and lowering her self-esteem, there's a good chance that she would never have dated Jeff, or at the very least, she would have left him once the abuse began, which would mean Jeff would not be with her during the Olympics and coerce her into hiring two idiots to assault Nancy Kerrigan and end Tonya's career as a skater, the one thing in her life that she enjoyed. As a thought experiment, I asked myself how differently the events may have unfolded if her father had been the one to stay and her mother had been the one that left. She might not have been pushed to skate quite as much, but there's no arguments in my mind that she would be in a better physical and psychological condition. I, Tonya is a great film, and I recommend it to everyone. Its exploration of abusive psychology is not immediately obvious, but now that I've pointed it out, I'm pretty sure you'll see it, not just in this movie, but all around you as well.